From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work. We will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you, God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims. Well, good morning, my beautiful coffee beans. Happy Tuesday! We've already done a live this morning. I've already done a live on TikTok. I've done a live on YouTube, and this is the live on TikTok. This is where I was really brainstorming this morning with my audience, and I really wanted to bring it here to you guys here on YouTube and get your thoughts and your brains moving related to the case of Sebastian Rogers, the 15-year-old boy that's missing out of Hendersonville, Tennessee. We need all hands on deck, and anything and everything we are accepting. We want to listen. We've got our ears open. We're trying to find the location of Sebastian Rogers, and we hope our audience can help. Check this out. All right. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you this beautiful, beautiful morning. So before we get started, I want to just give you guys some updates. This is your breaking news updates. It's Tuesday morning, and I love seeing all my beautiful faces on here. So yesterday, we learned that there were remains out there in Kingsport, Tennessee, and I was very concerned that it might have been from one of our beautiful ladies out there that have been missing. We've got a child and two grown women that are missing. Of course, those are the ones that are recent. You know, there's been a lot of people in this area that have gone missing in the past. While I don't know who the remains belong to, I did learn that there was another person that disappeared from the area 3 or 4 years ago. And they believe the remains could potentially be him. And so we're still on the hunt for Layla Santinello, Holland Snap, and of course, our beautiful Summer Wells also disappeared out there June 15th, 2021. We've been covering another case here, and that is the case of the two missing women from Kansas and Oklahoma. I've been watching this case for a while. I know we haven't really been covering it too much because the case related to Sebastian Rogers is kind of really taking a forefront because of everything going on in it. But these two ladies here are very, very, very important. And this is really, really bad where we feel that they were met with foul play. I'm learning a lot about the in-laws, their family, you know, the fact that they don't really like government. They're kind of, you know, it's just, you know, they don't believe in government. They believe they're sovereign. Those types of people out there. It sounds like that is her in-laws. That is Veronica's in-laws. And it's very, very concerning because these girls are missing. Their car was found, which raised major concerns with law enforcement where they believed foul play was involved. with this being so long, over a week, nobody has seen or heard from these women. I can tell you that law enforcement, as well as other people on the ground, are really are very, very fearful, and I can say that with all reality. I know there's a lot of contention. The family, Veronica's family, is in a lot of the chat rooms about, you know, obviously Veronica as well as Jillian. And so, you know, they're getting their feelings a little hurt, and I can understand, because a lot of people are talking about the divorce and the custody related to Veronica, and apparently it really wasn't a very pretty thing, and there's been a lot of allegations on both sides, and it's really becoming contentious, and I see a lot of people, you know, being one side or pitting one person against the other, and I hope that doesn't happen, because at the end of the day, these ladies still need to be found. They need to be brought home, and if God forbid something bad happened to them, they need to be properly laid to rest. Tammy, yes, they are related, but not blood related. So they're related because this is the preacher's wife. She went with Veronica as the supervisor. So Veronica was supposed to have supervised visitations with her children, and Veronica was the supervisor. She was from a church. Her and her husband do great things. She's works with the youth. It sounds like these two ladies got along. They enjoyed the ride together, and this particular event just didn't end well. And there's no... You know, it's kind of like the whole Sebastian Rogers thing. There's really nobody else it could be except the in-laws. I mean, in my opinion, there's just nobody. Nobody else had a problem with Veronica that they would want her gone. You know, I mean, she is gone. So we have to look at it from that angle. No new information. Law enforcement isn't talking. They're holding it to the chest. They don't want the family talking. They haven't held any press conferences, even though we have a Facebook group going over this case. It does sound like law enforcement, in my opinion, I've done this a while, appears to know, they're getting the evidence for whatever they need, but it appears they have an idea who did it. And that's just by their behaviors, nothing really a whole lot more. What city is this in? So this is, it's kind of confusing, because they're from Hugoton, Kansas, and they were coming over to Eva, Oklahoma. And their car was found in Texas County, Oklahoma, which is right over the Kansas-Oklahoma border. So they were only about 3 or so miles from their destination. Where they were coming from and where they were going to pick up the children, I'm assuming is about 45 minutes to an hour away, give or take a little bit. But that's kind of where it's at. So it's right in the Panhandle. It's a very desolate area and stuff like that. So that's my assumption where it was. I know that they have a pinpoint. We have Rock Chalk out there right now, boots on the ground, been going live with all the stuff, all of her searches and everything like that. And I think the one takeaway from the searches we're getting from Rock Chalk is the fact that the land is flat, like flat. Like, it's so flat, even though it's so desolate, you can literally see for miles. You know, you can stand in one spot and like look, and it's just flat land for miles and miles and miles. So I don't know where these girls are. I know that, I've got a little plug into the area, and I don't want to say anything out of turn, and I don't want to misinform. So I'm going to say that this is rumor. This is not fact, but it sounds like it is fact, and it sounds like law enforcement is going to the pig farms, and that right there scares the shit out of me. Excuse my language, it does. It just scares me, because people don't understand how destructive livestock can be, and predominantly pigs, especially, they go through everything, bone, all. I mean, it's not good. I know about livestock. I know specifically about boars and pigs and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just know these ladies haven't been found. All right, guys. So we're going to kind of get a little more in line with why we're all here. We're all here because of Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian Rogers is a 15-year-old autistic boy that, according to his mother, went to bed at 9 p.m. on February 26th, which is a Sunday. And when she woke up the next morning on a Monday, February 26th, she went into his room around 6 a.m., and he wasn't there. According to her, she says within a few minutes, she picks up the phone. She calls her husband, Chris Proudfoot, the stepfather to Sebastian. They're on the phone. He's like, hey, have you looked here? Have you looked here? She says yes. According to the first 2 interviews, they immediately called 911 right then and there. According to her Chronicles of Olivia interview and the very first Nancy Grace interview, we learn that it wasn't just that simple, that Katie actually got into her car and actually went around the neighborhood and toward the school before they called 911. But they called 911. Chris believed at this time they called around 6:20 in the morning. And then we realized that the call didn't come in until 6:33 in the morning. In a situation like this, 13 minutes, it matters. It's important. It matters. They need to take Sebastian's mom and stepdad. A lot of people believe that mom and stepdad are involved, and I think we're going to really be kind of honing in on this theory a little bit, because this is the theory that I, as well as my team, have developed. We're developing several different theories. We're looking at a whole host of information when it comes to this case, because at the end of the day, we're looking for Sebastian. We're trying to find any information that will lead to the whereabouts of Sebastian Rogers. And so any and all information that we're looking at, reviewing and everything is related to that. And for us to be able to determine where possibly this boy could be, we have to look at the parents. We have to look at the people that were last seen with him. I'm eliminating Seth from this preview. We're only focusing on Katie and Chris Proudfoot. And so we're watching and monitoring their behaviors and their movements in and around the time that this boy disappeared. One of the problems we have is Chris Proudfoot. We can't determine whether this man was home or not. Okay, that's it. We don't know. We don't know if he was home or not. He is telling us that he was not. I'm screaming foul play, okay? Because I don't know if he was there and something happened. We have learned that this belt incident that they have talked about, Katie and Chris both lied to Nancy Grace. We learned that this incident didn't happen 2 or 3 years ago. This incident was very, very recent. This was right on the heels of Christopher Proudfoot going to court for his daughter. He's supposed to be going to trial. He's supposed to be, I think, in trial this month to find out whether he gets his daughter or not. I don't believe a court is going to rip a child away from their mother because a father doesn't want to pay child support. I don't see that happening. I don't think he would ever have an opportunity to have Faith full time. I just don't. I don't think any court would be stupid enough to do that. But you never know. I mean, this is the United States, and we've got a lot of stupid judges out there that do stupid stuff that injure children because of political reasons, because it looks good on their resume, you know, like keeping abusers with the child and reunited families when you have SA involved and, you know, disgusting stuff like that, you know, the family unit's the most important. No, it's not. That child's the most important. Their well-being's the most important. The family unit, yeah, it's very important until it's dysfunctional. And then it's not. So we're monitoring this, and I'm looking at the information around the convenience store. You know, we heard that tip, that lead around the convenience store, and we don't know if it's true, but it sounds like it sounded like it was a spitting image of Chris Proudfoot's car or truck, and it sounds like it was Sebastian Rogers that appeared to be sleeping in the front seat. Now, we know that the event happened, so it's not like the lady is lying about the event. We know the event did happen. We just don't know whether it was Chris Proudfoot and Sebastian or not. You see what I'm saying? So the event is not, it's not a troll or anything like that. This event did happen. The problem is people believe it may be him, but it may have been a different person. So we're looking at that. We're looking at that whole situation out at the convenience store, and we're mathing the time it would take from the time she saw him there to his Yogi Bear campground or to his work, because we believe that's the way he was heading, and he would have to report into work. And so with him being at this convenience store at 5:45 or 5:48 in the morning, he would have still had another 2-hour drive to work. And he still had this boy he had to figure out what to do with, if we believe in that theory. So I've been up and down all night, okay, with my team. Up and down all night with my team. We've been looking at a mess of maps. Can you see that? A mess of maps, you know, looking at the intersections, looking at the ramps, looking at what's around the ramps, looking at if there's anything here that looks like something that's promising where Chris Proudfoot may pull off, because we have the whole event with the RV. For example, when he found out that his stepson was missing, according to the information, and this is where it stumps me. According to the information, he left work. Now, I don't know if it took him that way. He's on the phone at 6:30 with Katie. They're calling law enforcement at 6:30, and he's basically saying he didn't leave work until 9 o'clock. You got a missing kid. I don't know who would stick around for 2.5 hours with a missing child before they start making it their way home, especially when you have the cavalry sitting in front of your home. That to me doesn't make sense. It sounds to me like somebody would have went to their boss, said, I've got to go right now. I've got a missing son, and there's cops all over my house. And you seem like he would leave. It's only 3.5 hours, so he should have been home by 10:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning. We're learning he didn't get home until after 1, and people are saying it's because he didn't leave his job until 9. Who's telling us that? Chris Proudfoot's telling us that. We don't know that for fact. We're not law enforcement, and law enforcement isn't telling us. So can we take that information as true? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not trusting it because I don't trust Chris Proudfoot, and I know he's devious, and I know there's crap up his sleeve. I don't know why, but I do know why. They're his behavior. So when I mapped it from the convenience store to his work, it's pushing him to his work almost at 8 o'clock in the morning. We know that there is no possibility of that being the case. We know that there's no possibility of being that case. So I'm telling my team, okay, you know, our really good thought, you know, everything hitting, you know, time and everything, it's off. It's not mathing anymore. It's not mathing anymore with him getting to work and being in this call. There's got to be something here. There's got to be something more here. And so, and mind you guys, I have like 2 hours of sleep last night. I'm up. This conversation is yet again going on at 1:30, 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning this morning with my my very dedicated mod squad. Well then, so that means then I don't know if that speedway, until we learn what time he got into work, I don't know if that speedway would math then. Because people are saying that it is, so we've got several people in here, and they're which is why I do this, why I come here, because you guys know better than me. I'm sitting in Florida. I just remember when I was in Tennessee, I remember an event that happened where we were in one time zone in Tennessee and another time zone in Tennessee, and it came back to me at 2 o'clock in the morning. So we're going to, so Nashville as well as Memphis. Can somebody just tell me yes or no? I'm going to ask you guys this because you guys know. Is Nashville and Memphis, is Hendersonville where they live and Memphis, are they all in the same time zone? I guess is the question, the best question to ask. I know Memphis is in Central, so I think the question is, are both of the time zones from their house to, how does Ellie not have a probable cause? I don't know, Jacqueline. I don't know that. What do you think? I'm beating my head up. You know, I'm beating my head against a hard surface at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying to figure it out too. I don't know. I really don't. But I want to show you guys my maps, and I'm worried about showing my maps because I feel this is what I'm so concerned about, because Chris and Katie left, right? They left several times, and they went back to this area in Mississippi. Is Mississippi also Central Time, guys? Can you guys answer that? Can you guys tell me if it's Mississippi, like that Yogi Bear campground, is that also Central Time? Let me see here. Central. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Well, I was thinking he held water, and that's what I told my team. I thought he gained an hour, but now it looks like that didn't hold water. So thank you guys for clarifying that for me. I do appreciate that. So that doesn't hold water. So now we have to go back and look at the whole theory with the gas station. if they were at the gas station at 5:48 in the morning and that lady believes it was Sebastian in that front seat, then I don't know how that could math. I don't know how that would math him getting to work in time for Katie Proudfoot's phone call unless he was still heading there at the time. There's something weird with the whole camper RV thing in this, because we learned when Chris went home and they gave the interview that Chris implied basically his work called him and said, you know, you need to come get your trailer. We need you out of here. You go home and deal with whatever. Come back whenever you got this situated, is basically what we were told. Chris was told by his employer, and everybody's like, man, what kind of company do you work for? What a dick. You know, like what company does and treats people like that? And so I'm thinking he's got his camper on site, you know, like he's got his RV on site and they need to get somebody else in there and he needs to get his stuff out of there. I had no idea at this time his car is in Yogi Bear Campground, you know, and that Yogi Bear Campground is a third party. He's paying separately and everything. So how can his business tell him he needs to come get his RV? You know, how much is it costing to stay in that park? Pay the $27 or $30 to park there for the day or two until you get back. It didn't make sense, and everybody and I keep wondering about the RV. The RV is key. I think the RV is key. I think that them being on the phone for 3 hours that night, I think that plays into this a little bit. The flashlight that Sebastian apparently left with, there's a reason why they had to include that into their story. And if we still look at the whole entire situation, we still can't determine, was Chris home or was he not? But we have to know that everything in and around Sebastian, he had no friends. He was only around family and, you know, basically family. So if he was basically around family and he didn't have a whole lot of friends or outside influences, that is your biggest key right there. Then you couple that with the fact that the door was locked. There's no third party, no outside outside of their immediate family that has access to the coded doors. You're not going to have Joe Blow down the road, RSO Joe down the road, or even Ninja or Alien down up in the heavens and, you know, below the earths, you know, coming up and getting into that house without the code. So it would have had to have been somebody that knew the code. And Chris just happened to be on the phone with Katie Proudfoot. We know that the total time there and back would have been about 3.5 hours, 3 hours and 15 minutes to 3 hours and 30 minutes both ways. That's 7 hours at midnight. He could have been at work at 7 a.m. in the morning, and he's trying to say that he was at work at 6 a.m. in the morning. So we have an entire hour we have got to figure out. And I thought that entire hour was fixed by this. And you guys just... You guys extinguished my flame this morning. I got to be honest with you. You extinguished Bullhorn Betty's flame because I was on a roll. I found my hour and you guys stole my hour from me. So I got to go back to the drawing board. But one thing that I do believe, I believe whatever happened, wherever Sebastian is, anything that's going on in this case, I feel like is on this I40 corridor. Or at least I did. Okay, and I'm going to explain that. Because Chris and Katie have left 2 different times from their home to take this path of travel to that RV park. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with the first trip. It was right in the middle of searches. Nobody was monitoring them. They got up in the middle of the morning or in the after. I don't even know what time they got up. I don't know what time they left, but they left. And they hightailed it out of town. They hightailed it to this Yogi Bear campground. Why do they keep going back to that Yogi Bear campground? That's first and foremost. They know everybody knows they're going there. So why would they go there? It doesn't make sense. It seems like they would find a different campground to go to that wasn't known. But they keep going back to that one. And it makes me wonder why. The next thing is on that very first trip, they were there for a day or two before they came back to the home, even though they were trying to say, oh, my husband's back to work and I just came to, you know, get him set up here so he can get back to work. Then why isn't he working? Why is he not working if you drove all the way back to that area to get him back to work? No, he ends up coming home and staying there for a few days, and they end up packing their RV up again, but this time, I don't think they plan on coming back to their home. I think they're done with their home. We've been hearing notifications and stuff out there in the world behind the scenes that they're going to be selling the home in June for $799,000 in June. Who's selling a home of a missing child? Who's thinking of selling a home of a missing child when you are actively having a missing child investigation and searches underway? Who has time to have these discussions about property? It doesn't seem right. So I really believe it's across this I40 corridor. So I'm looking at, the ramps and what's around the ramps and how desolated it is around these ramps going down toward Chris's work. And this is the kind of stuff I'm looking for. Okay? This is the kind of stuff I'm looking for. Ramps that come off in desolate areas. Nobody's here. It's early in the morning. And look right down here. We've got a pond that you can literally pull up to right here, take care of business, get back on the ramp, and head to work. This gives me kind of the Audrey Cunningham vibe right here. And so when I was talking to my mod squad, they were like, well, and here's the path of travel from Nashville. Let me get my head out of the way. From Nashville down to Memphis. This is his work up here. This is the Yogi Bear campground here. They're only 20 minutes away from each other, even though one's in Mississippi and one's in Tennessee. So that's where we've got this going on. And so this is the corridor right here that I believe needs to be thoroughly searched. Very long, 3.5 hours. But I really do believe it's in this area here. But one of my theories is that he wouldn't have had time to dump Sebastian. He would have had to take Sebastian back to his RV and put him there, which brings that RV into play because he left the next morning to go back to get that RV. And it was just an odd place for him to leave. It was an odd place for him to stop and say, I have to go back. And his excuse was, my company called me and told me I had to get my shit out of there. And I'm thinking, what company does that? It doesn't seem probable that a known company working of all places for St. Jude's that deals with children all day long would be so cold and callous to an employee that just has a child missing. I don't see any corporation being that callous and cold to a dedicated employee. And if any corporation was that callous and cold to an employee, a dedicated employee, I would give them that corporation a piece of my mind and talk about the PR issue something like that would have of a corporation working on St. Jude's, which takes care of children and doesn't have a sympathetic heart to one of their own employees' child's missing. That doesn't make sense to me at all. At all. But that's what we're being led to believe happened. So why did Chris Proudfoot have to leave everything the next day to go back and get that RV? It doesn't make sense. Who gives a shit about the RV? Call up there, tell the office you got a missing child, you're 3.5 hours away, you can't be back, but as soon as you get back, you're going to be picking up your RV. You give them the credit card, tell them to run whatever they need to run, and be done with it and work on your family. Who's going to leave in the middle of a search, in the middle of a child missing, to go pick up an RV that can sit where it's at in a safe location? What was so important in that RV you had to stop what you were doing and go back to get it? None of this makes sense. So if anybody wants to know what the true time is to get from Nashville, Tennessee to that, now in this time here, we have the stop at the Speedway gas station. That might not hold water now that you guys told me about the time zone. My theory about the time zone didn't hold water. I was really excited about that, but I read that wrong, and you guys were right. Nashville and Memphis do appear. It feels like Knoxville is plateau areas where the time goes back to Eastern Standard Time. So I was hopeful that that was my hour, but you guys killed my wind, okay? Boo! Boo, TikTok, boo! No, I'm just joking. We like accurate information. This is why we do it. This is why we do it, though. So we're still back at square one. What happened? I still believe Chris Proudfoot did it. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot to tell you guys this. Holy smokes! Holy smokes, holy smokes, holy smokes, holy smokes. Breaking freaking news. I don't know why I didn't think about this. So we know about Nardi Diver. We learned about Nardi Diver through the Riley Strain case, and of course with that crazy crap nonprofit, the United Cajun Navy, that stole the Cajun Navy's name and is touting it as theirs for profit, and they just shut down searches and everything, and they've got this whole, the Rogers family so brainwashed and everything like that. It's disgusting, but hey, they're just wanting help, and they're a nonprofit, right? They seem legit. I mean, I'm sorry, but they're not. And they can sue me, and my name's Andrew Griffin, so good luck, United Cajun Navy, but I will prove my case. So I think you are absolutely worthless. Just stay in your community and keep handing out the food there. That's where you're needed. That's where you should stay. But we found out Nardi Diver was out there, and they recorded a conversation with Chris Proudfoot yesterday. Yes. And there was something that, holy smokes, blew my ever-loving mind. I cannot believe I forgot to tell you guys this. But I just found out about it this morning, so it's not like I'm withholding this. You guys know how police work, right? You guys know that when police are out there, let's put it in perspective. When we have a person of interest in a crime and say they can't find the person, and they have a person of mind in interest, a person that they think, and they're going to say, hey, man, can you come help me? Let's just go look around for areas, right? You know how they put the assailant, they pull him out of jail. Remember, they always have him in the shackles and in the orange suit, and they're trying to take him around, right? Well, it's not like that for Chris Proudfoot, but listen to this stuff right here. They were the only ones. Law enforcement was the only one that went and picked up Chris Proudfoot and took him around. We know that strategy. We know that strategy. Tell me we don't know that strategy. They didn't pick up Mom, the last person that saw her. They grabbed Chris Proudfoot. They took him, and he was on there on that Nardi Diver interview bragging about it like he had this rights to brag. And I'm thinking, dude, they think you're guilty, dude. You're the only one that they took in this ride? They're looking at your body language. They're looking at how you're answering the questions. They're doing that for a reason. Because otherwise, they would have been taking Mama out. Mama was the last one that had saw this child, according to all the reports. So why are they picking Chris Proudfoot up and putting him in the patrol car and taking him around to these places? And why is he the only one going? We know that strategy from law enforcement. Tell me we don't. Go look at the Nardi Diver interview. He's on YouTube. Narked, N-A-R-K-E-D, Narked, like naked, but with an R. Nardi Diver, D-I-V-E-R. Nardi Diver. You want to go over there. You're going to want to watch that interview. Listen to what Chris is saying on the phone. Like, he thinks this is a bragging right. Like, I know more than anybody in the family knows. Oh, thank you, Kirby-licious. I mean, that's basically what he says. He's like, if you want this, I mean, cops only took me. So I know this because cops only took me. And I'm like, that is not a bragging right, dude. Not a bragging right to somebody like me. That is a telltale sign that law enforcement kept away from the public, that he just told the public. And I'm like, law enforcement ain't stupid. See, we're getting upset with law enforcement thinking they're not doing their job, that they're out there just running around in circles and doing this and doing that. Guys, they're doing their job. They are absolutely doing their job. And there was only one person they put in a patrol car to go riding with them, and that was Christopher Proudfoot. Y'all need to think about that. All right, guys, thank you so much for spending time with me. Thank you for correcting me. It kind of sucks a little bit that we didn't gain the hour we thought we gained. That really would have explained a lot in this case. So it's back to the drawing board, but I think the majority of us believe that Chris and Katie are involved in this. I'm split between two different theories, both of which have Chris, the assailant, One that has Katie in the know, and one theory that has Katie completely oblivious to what happened. And so those two theories I'm working on right now, trying to develop. I was hoping that this whole theory with the time zone would hold water. Clearly it doesn't. It's kind of upsetting for me. I really have to be honest with you, because I thought this was huge. But it's not. So now we have to go back to the drawing board. We have to figure out how he did it. Because if we can figure out how he did it, it'll help us locate where Sebastian is, right? And I truly believe that Chris Proudfoot has a hand in this. He's the only one that's acting weird. Well, they're both acting weird, you know, the stepmother and him. But he's the only one with the marks all up and down his arms. Oh, the marks up and down his arms. Oh, holy crap. That's another thing that we were discussing. Like I said, we're discussing this case nonstop. My team, everybody. We're looking literally at everything, trying to figure out this. The markings on his arms, those have been like majorly a contentious issue for it. Some people said that they're, you know, bite marks and scratches and stuff like that. And I think, you know, there for a while when I was looking at it, it almost looked like he would have went around from the back side to the front side like this because of where the bite marks. Do I have something? Wow, I just realized I need to wash my little thing here. You know, and so it looked like he came around from the backside and kind of yoked him. And I started looking at those arms, especially like in here and on the outside of here and like right here on the arms. And they're awfully red. And I have to remember that this picture was taken 8 days after Sebastian disappeared, because they didn't have the first interview with any news organization until 8 days. So those photos that we're seeing of all those marks and bruises on his arm, those are 8 days old. Do you know that this right here, I don't know if anybody can see this. This is a brown recluse spider. It had a huge abscess in it, okay? They had to take the abscess out, and it went straight to the bone, okay? They couldn't sew it up because I had blood poisoning so bad that I had a ring way around here, and they were concerned that that poison was about to go into my heart. So they had to keep it open. They could not close that wound. So all they could do was pack this wound and pull it, you know, pull the packing out every day and clean it out to build that tissue up. See, I don't have a whole gaping, you know, there's not really a big, because the tissue built up in it. This took about 2 weeks, okay, 10 to 14 days for my arm to go from straight bone to having skin and tissue. So that's 10 days. This man had 8 days, and those scratches and bruises were still on his. That means that those had to be significant, not little dwiddle, you know, dog scratched me. They had to be significant if they were still there 8 days later, almost 2 weeks, definitely over a week. So when you look at him, could those markings be from him carrying? Because they were really red right here. Really, really red. And Sebastian's 120 pounds. And I got to think that that's no easy situation. And he would have been so heavy that I would think he would leave bruising and rub patterns and stuff like that on their arms. So I don't know. It could be both. It could be all of the above, right? It could be several different markings from several different things. Some of those markings might be from the assault. Some of those markings might be from the transport, and some of those markings might be from the disposal. We might be having 3 separate markings on his body, and they just look like they're so, you know, it's up and down his arm, but they're really 3 different events, from the fight to the taking out to the disposal. And that's, you know, there's something there with that. So we're still on the hunt with Sebastian Rogers. We're still trying to decipher this. I was hoping I got the hour. You guys just took my wind out of my sails. But we'll go back to the drawing board. There is a way. We got to find that way. As soon as we can have just a little iota of what truly happened, I think that that's going to identify the location. But again, I'm so concerned because the Proudfoots have went out to this area not once but twice and have been staying out there religiously. And it's so unnerving for me because I keep thinking that they had plenty of time to go out there, grab evidence from their original site and move it or dispose of it properly. And they've had all the time in the world to do that because they haven't been home and they've been out there in that area. And law enforcement hasn't done forensics. I don't even know if they've checked the RV. Did they take the cadaver dogs in that RV to check? Did they ever check the RV? I got a lot of questions and not a lot of answers. And law enforcement, we're hoping. I hear today we might get some type of press conference today or tomorrow or something like that. I'm interested to find more information about this. Is there foul play? At this point, if they keep saying that there's no foul play, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think when I get to Sumner County, I'm going to be like, how can you not think that there's foul play? I'm coming to Sumner County. I'm going to be there on the 21st. By the way, Layla Santinella's daughter, Nova Grace, it's her 3rd birthday. It's her 3rd birthday coming up. And she's without her mommy. She's without her mommy. We need to find her and bring her home too. All right, guys. You guys have been amazing. Thank you for working with me here. Thank you for getting some collection. It kind of sucks. I was hoping we got that 1 hour figured out, but we don't have the hour figured out, guys. So there's an hour time difference. We need to find out what that hour time difference is. I have a funny feeling he probably didn't stop at that store. I think that store, the Speedway, that's what's throwing everything off. The time of the Speedway sighting. That's what's throwing everybody off. So maybe that doesn't hold water if Chris is truly the assailant, because that's what I think. But there's still, just because I think it doesn't make it so, guys. I mean, truth is stranger than fiction. This could be just some freak accident. You know, it really could. We don't know. We have no information one way or another. We just have a lot of gut instincts, a lot of feelings, a lot of smarts, a lot of common sense that are saying this, you know, something ain't right. All right, have a great day. God bless you. Happy Tuesday. Don't forget to rock it out with your coffee beans out, and we will see you soon. God bless.